Manchester stands with Palestine! Let's see if we can say that loud to the streets here. Manchester stands with Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Stop the genocide!
Stop the genocide!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Stop the genocide!
Stop the genocide!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Stop the genocide!
Stop the genocide!
1, 2, 3, 4!
Occupation no more!
5, 6, 7, 8!
Israel is a terrorist state!
1, 2, 3, 4!
Occupation no more!
5, 6, 7, 8!
Israel is a terrorist state!
Guys, could you repeat after me, please? Please. So, Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry!
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry!
Palestine will never die!
Palestine will never die!
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry!
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry!
Palestine will never die!
Palestine will never die!
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry!
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry!
Palestine will never die!
Palestine will never die!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Stop the genocide!
Stop the genocide!
Well done everybody here for coming out. I think we're going through a very, very difficult time. It's very demoralising for people, having no effect on what's happening. It's very demoralising, if not horrific, for people in Gaza. And what is happening is many people are losing hope. And what we have to understand is the way we get hope is by coming together in solidarity with each other. That gives us hope that there is a voice for Palestine. And for Palestine, what gives them hope is seeing people out all over the world on the streets supporting them. Because without hope, we can't resist. Resistance needs something to hope for. So we must keep ourselves strong in solidarity, and so that we can pass that on to Palestine, because it's very, very difficult, and hope is what we need to strive for. So great that you're here today, but we need to keep it up as long as this horror of genocide is in front of us. I just want to start today with a poem.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out in this cold weather. As you just said, it's really, really important that we keep speaking out loud and demonstrating and make sure that our politicians hear us loud and clear. Okay, so I'm going to read out a little poem. Some of you will recognise bits of it because it's one that I got off the internet, and I've amended it and added things to it. It struck a chord with me, and hopefully it will strike a chord with you as well. It's called I'm Not From Palestine. I'm not from Palestine. Just mentioning the name is considered by some to be a crime. I'm not from Palestine, but here I stand. My eyes telling me time after time stories about a land of culture, of history, of smiles and not many miles, of hope, of courage, olive trees and honeybees, of people with unwavering iman, a land where one child is as brave as any man. I'm not from Palestine and the world is blind. They won't even open their minds or seem to mind. Can they hear the children's cries or the bombs raining down from the skies? I know they do, but all they do is justify their crimes. I'm not from Palestine, I feel their pain because every Palestinian's wound is mine. I go on every march and shout until I'm hoarse, begging the powers that be to take a different course. It falls on deaf ears, condemn the 7th of October, but ignore what's been going on for years. They just turn a blind eye, giving cover to the oppressors as they deny the very basics of humanity. My heart is broken and keeps asking me why. The world just passes by. As we tuck our kids in their beds, smile and kiss their sleepy heads, they can't even bury the dead. Just thinking of this fills me with dread. For me, I only have to deal with this in my head. I don't have to dodge bullets and bombs or watch where I tread. I hear the cries, I feel the pain. If only we united to wipe away the stain. One Ummah united, one Ummah, one voice, shouting so loud they won't have a choice. I'm not from Palestine, but you are family of mine. I'll stand with you through thick and thin until that day when we can stand on the land and then build a world where justice prevails, our children can play again. I'm not from Palestine, but I'll remember the names of the children that died. I'll remember the nights when I couldn't sleep and just cried. I'll remember those who did this to you or kept silent, saying their hands were tied. To those that stayed quiet, I didn't raise their voice. I'm only one, you said. You didn't have a choice. Your silence is deafening as life after life slips away, as humanity from across the globe begs our leaders to stay enough. And dying in your beds many years from now, you will wish to trade all the days from this day to that, just for one chance to stand with the oppressed and say, I got your back. I'm not from Palestine, but have you heard of Reem? A threat to the world, or so it seems. They had to kill her and try break her dreams, but all they did was raise 1,000 reams. Rue of Maru, what did they do? How will we live without you? Yeah. I'll never let your name vanish like dirt slipping through my hand. And try as they might, I know God has a greater plan. Perhaps it will awaken the Ummah from its slumber. For we are not one, we are many in number. From accepting the things we cannot change to changing the things we cannot and will not accept, this current situation being the test. I'm not from Palestine, but I understand what goes around comes around, and that one day the sun will shine and my hands will touch the sands of land called Free Palestine. Thank you.
Free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Thank you. I think sometimes we need to listen to poets and artists so that we have chance to reflect. And so thank you very much, comrade, for that poem. I'd now like to introduce a man to speak.
Right, can everyone hear me? Everyone at the back, can you hear me? Okay. 20th of January, 2024. 24,762 killed in Gaza. 62,108 injured. There will be many more missing and stuck under the rubble. There will be many more who will end up dying from their injuries. Lack of medical treatment, from infections, from the freezing cold, dehydration, and falling buildings. We all know very well what the Israeli state has been doing for a very long time, and not since just the October the 7th. The constant bombardments, airstrikes, destroying 35 hospitals, residentials, graveyards, mass shootings, mass displacement, deliberate starvation, humiliation, torture and abuse of all forms by the Israeli occupying forces. We've been watching everything live from our phone for the last 103 days. Yet here we are, seeing people on TV, online, debate whether a genocide is occurring or not, arguing about what to call this. No amount of graphic footage or imagery, images of corpses, perpetrators clearly shown on camera, warnings from human rights organizations can ever be enough for those who don't want to see or turn away from these horrors. We are seeing people denied a genocide is even occurring. We are still being asked to condemn. Condemn who? I want to ask, are you going to condemn Israel for its 56-year military occupation of Palestine? Are you going to condemn Israel for Nakba 1948 and Nakba 1967? Are you going to condemn Israel for the mass expulsion of Palestinians, displacing them and driving them out of their homes? Who is going to condemn Israel for ethnically cleansing towns, villages, carrying out massacres and demolishing 500 villages? Who is going to condemn Israel for wiping Palestine off the map, changing the names of the roads and cities and denying the existence of a Palestinian state and people altogether? Who is going to condemn Israel for treating Palestinians as second-class citizens in their own native land? Who is going to condemn Israel for having over 65 discriminatory laws against Palestinians, impacting every single area of their life and subjecting them to military rule? Who is going to condemn Israel for its daily harassment and imprisonment of Palestinians in the West Bank, making them go through checkpoints, bypass roads, separation wall, unlawful killings? Who is going to condemn this apartheid state? Who is going to condemn Israel for bulldozing Palestinian homes and building illegal settlements? Who is going to condemn Israel for its catchy slogan, "It will make the desert bloom," and for its green colonialism, greenwashing crimes and settler colonialist projects? Who is going to condemn Israel for all the heinous crimes it commits against Palestinians, documented and undocumented? Who is going to condemn the Israeli troops who are responsible for harvesting the organs of Palestinians who have died in their custody? Who is going to condemn Israel for practicing medical apartheid and necro-violence? Who is going to condemn Israel for its total impunity and systematic targeting towards Palestinian children, being the only country in the world that prosecutes children? Who is going to condemn Israel for unjustly holding Palestinians in Israeli jails? Who is going to condemn Israel for being a recipient of $3.8 billion worth of military aid from America every year? Who is going to condemn Israel for its propaganda machine, the false statistics and misinformation they spread? Who is going to condemn Israel for its digital surveillance regime against Palestinians? The 16-year siege on Gaza, imposing a land, sea, air blockade with barely any freedom of movement. Who is going to condemn Israel for its well-documented countless air bombardments on Gaza over the years? One of the most densely populated areas where half the population are children. For Operation Summer Rains, the Gaza beach explosion, Operation Autumn Clouds, Operation Hot Winter, Operation Cast Lead, Operation Flotilla Raid, Operation Returning Echo and Pillar of Defense, Operation Protective Edge and Breaking Dawn. Who is going to target Israel? Who is going to condemn Israel for targeting poets, journalists, doctors, engineers, musicians, artists, scientists, teachers, aid workers, children? Israel has killed more than 10,000 children in Gaza, and its women and children are reported in mainstream media outlets because Palestinian men are not worthy of being victims, are they? Who is going to condemn Israel for the hell on earth it has created for Palestinians in the last 75 years? 105 days now into this genocide, everyone, and IOF soldiers are filming themselves committing these atrocities. They barge into the decimated schools of Gaza, recording themselves that we will teach Hebrew here. They enter the dead homes of Gazans. You lie in children's beds, rummaging through women's personal drawers, playing on the bikes of dead Gazan children. You cook meals in their kitchen whilst openly displaying your derangement and lunacy. Do people really expect Palestine to be completely wiped off the map and its people violently scattered and besieged without any scrutiny of the ideology behind that violence, Zionism? I just want to end my speech by saying that a genocide doesn't end when bombings and shelling stop. A genocide doesn't end with a ceasefire. Whenever there is an airstrike or a bombing, this creates a toxic biosphere with lasting effects. A genocide doesn't end when the shelling stops. People who participate in post-war fear research have confirmed the presence of depleted uranium, asbestos dust, and deadly products from the oxidation of white phosphorus. Historically, every assault on Gaza is followed by a spike in cancer rates. Any reality besides one of liberation for the people of Gaza means tens of thousands of slow deaths that will directly trace back to this genocide. And now just imagine the number of injured children with bodies that will grow into their injuries, a lifetime of surgeries that they will need and can't afford or have the access to healthcare for. The horrific burns from incendiary weapons that require painful treatment and are battle tested on Palestinians. Our governments are responsible for this. Our governments are supporting this genocide. Our governments are funding this genocide and arming Israel. Britain has flown 50 spy missions over Gaza in support of Israel. Look up this information online on Declassified UK. Between May 2015 and August 2022, the UK licensed over £442 million worth of arms to Israel. This is on the government website. Lastly, as the people here in the diaspora and people here in the West, with our governments that are complicit, we have a moral and ethical duty to hold our governments, our politicians, and companies profiting from this genocide accountable, shutting down every single one of these disgusting weapons factories. It's not just a ceasefire we should be pushing for, but an end to this siege, an end to the illegal occupation and colonization of Palestine. Ceasefire now, cease land grabs, cease settlements, cease abduction, cease torture, cease starvation, humiliation, cease accusations, cease apartheid, cease injustice, and cease funding and supplying of arms to Israel.
Thank you very much. It's a nightmare when somebody has to stand up and document that whole horror that is happening. But what she said about genocide, it doesn't stop, but it didn't just start either. It's been going on in Palestine for the last 75 years. This is what an Israeli colonial settler state is made for genocide. And that is what has been happening since Israel was formed. So don't let's forget that. Now, mostly we've had a policy here of not having political parties speaking. Especially, we've not been willing to let Labour MPs who want to salve their conscience and speak to their constituents but are not condemning the Labour Party policy. But nobody should be voting Labour in the next election. Nobody. But what we need is we need an alternative. We certainly don't want to leave it open for the right. Hopefully to be a socialist alternative. But maybe, just maybe, the Green Party may offer an alternative. So I'm just inviting Ekua, who's from the Green Party, a councillor in Hume. First of all, anybody who wants a free hot cup of tea or coffee is here. So don't get freezing while you're listening. Somebody's brought this for you to keep you warm, to keep you positive. So please help yourselves, come round and help yourselves. Anyway, I'd just like to introduce the Ekua. Can you get up? Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll be free.
Occupation no more.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Israel is a terrorist state.
Israel is a
State.
Okay, thank you. Let's just hear now.
Thank you. And thank you for that warm welcome. My name, as I said, is Ekua Bayunu, and I've been asked to speak today by my residents and members as a politician, a Green Party councillor for Hume in Manchester. And I'm proud to do that. I am proud to represent the only parliamentary party whose members and elected representatives and leadership all consistently call for an immediate, unconditional ceasefire and a permanent peace brought about by political means. Destroying Gaza will not end the Israel-Gaza conflict. It will perpetuate violence for years to come. The only option is a just political settlement based on the end of occupation of Palestinian territories and full rights for all, regardless of religion or race. We need political will to hold Benjamin Netanyahu and his right-wing genocidal government to account. We need a permanent ceasefire in Gaza to stop the murder of children, of women, of men, not a temporary pause. We need the end of illegal occupation. We need political leadership to bring about a lasting peace for all. This is what we demand as the Green Party of England and Wales. But I also stand here as a woman, a mother and a grandmother, activist, artist, worker, proud this week, so proud to be African, proud to be Mancunian. And I want to bear witness to the action all of you are taking, to every march, to every vigil, to every letter written to your MPs, to your councillors, to your union leaders, for every penny raised by ordinary, no, extraordinary people for humanitarian aid. And I am going to do a shout out for the Watermelons Creative Northwest, a group of creative women from all backgrounds who are making and selling artwork and donating the proceeds to Medical Aid Palestine. I know that, like me, you wake up every morning to the continuing horrors and ask yourself, what more can you do? Manchester has always been a city of refuge, where people from all races and backgrounds have found a home alongside each other. We are a humane people who have been shocked and distraught and deeply moved by the scenes coming out of Palestine, and in particular Gaza. The thousands of Palestinian deaths, the destruction of infrastructure, the blockading of aid. Of course, we also commiserate with Israeli families who have lost loved ones, and all those in both communities who continue to wait for news of relatives and friends who have been held hostage. These world events are having significant impact on our communities and our friends and families, as we see a rise in hate and violence from Islamophobia and anti-Semitism and racism worldwide, and in the UK, we must draw together. Muslim and Jewish communities need our support and solidarity at this time. So whether you are a person of faith or none, we must resist all those who move to divide us. Today, we make it really clear that our city will continue to be a strong and consistent advocate for human rights and international law. We want a peace rooted in a just, fair society where people, men, women, and everyone outside of that binary, and all our children can thrive. Our city is at its best when we stand together. What do we want? Just ceasefire. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Ceasefire. When do we want it? Now.
Thank you very much. And now, our next speaker, she's been exciting and mobilizing us for weeks. So, hello everyone. Welcome back. Here we are, yet again, demanding justice, yet again demanding liberation, yet again demanding an immediate permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Over the past 3 months, we have seen relentless bombardment. Over the past 3 months, we have seen massacres and genocide and ethnic cleansing. We have seen the Zionist ideology try to silence truth tellers and fact finders, try to depict resistance as terrorism. We have seen Western governments and media conglomerates twist reality in order to silence Palestinian voices. This is what they're doing, and yet it has not just been 3 months, it has been 75 years. It has been 75 years of oppression. It has been 75 years of ethnic cleansing. It has been 75 years of violent dispossession, of violent land grabs, of silencing Palestinian voices. It did not start on October the 7th. We know that. We know it didn't start on October the 7th. We know that it started decades ago when the Zionist ideology decided that Palestine would be the place that it would seep its imperial poison, that it's the place that it would, can't even speak, it's the place that it would inject its settler colonial ideology. That is when it started. When we look across occupied Palestine, we see cities that are being destroyed and decimated. It does not just isolate to Gaza. It is occupied Palestine. Gaza is a microcosm. It is a microcosm, a concentrated example of what is going on across occupied Palestine. I'm a Palestinian. My father is from a Palestinian city called Tul Karim. My mother is from a Palestinian city called Ramallah. In the past few weeks, Tul Karim has been decimated. It is home to one of the biggest refugee camps in Palestine, Tul Karim refugee camp. The fact that that refugee camp even exists is an atrocity in itself. But even then, Zionist forces, occupation forces, are decimating it. They are destroying our infrastructure. They are slaughtering our people. They are ripping us limb from limb. This is what they are doing. When we look to Gaza, when we call for justice in Gaza, we are calling for justice across occupied Palestine. When we call for liberation of Palestinians in Gaza, we are calling for the liberation of everyone in Palestine. Because if it's not Gaza, it's Tul Karim. If it's not Tul Karim, it's Ramallah. If it's not Ramallah, it's Jerusalem. It's Akka, it's Haifa, Lid, Ramla, Jenin, Nablus. These are Palestinian cities that have been stolen from us, and we demand their return. That is what we are demanding, not just a ceasefire. We are demanding the liberation of the Palestinian people from the river to the sea. That is what we are demanding. A few weeks ago, I stood and I made a speech dedicated to my father just after the International Day of Solidarity with Palestinians, and I quoted Ghassan Kanafani, a Palestinian activist, may he rest in power, when he said that a conversation between the oppressor and the oppressed is like a conversation between the sword and the neck. The message from that is there is no place for neutrality. This conversation does not demand neutrality. It demands that you pick the right side of history and you stand firmly in it. You stand firmly in it. Because neutrality kills us as well. Even if the sword has only sliced its way halfway through your neck, it will still kill you. Therefore, neutrality has no place in this discussion. It has no place for
a Palestinian liberation. We are demanding justice. And so I will end on further words from Ghassan Kanafani when he said that a Palestinian cause, the Palestinian cause is not only a Palestinian cause, it is a cause for every revolutionary, wherever he is. Wherever he is, this is a cause for the exploited and the oppressed masses of this era. So stand with us, firmly with us. Do not be neutral. Stand. You are either pro or anti-genocide. This is where the moral spectrum is. Decide which end of the moral spectrum you lie on. Because one day when Palestine is free, it will pave the way. It will set a precedent. It will set a precedent for a world free from imperialism, free from colonization, free from perpetuators of persecution, from enablers of ethnic cleansing. It will cease. It will cease to be a world that allows arms of apartheid to live freely, to infest our world like a poison. That is the world we are demanding when we are out here. Do you agree? So one day we will see a free Palestine, and it will be because our demand was loud and clear. We are demanding liberation. We are demanding justice. We are demanding the right of return of every single Palestinian in the diaspora and the right of self-determination of every single Palestinian living under siege in occupied Palestine. We are connected to Gaza through that. Free, free! Free, free! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Occupation, no more!
5, 6, 7, 8!
Israel is a terrorist state!
Thank you, everyone. Thank
From
you.
the river to the sea, from the river to the sea, free, free!
We're just, at the moment, I think we need our spirits rising and to get angry, and that's what's happened. But a lot of people are finding that they are soothing our souls by poetry. And so I know I've already had one poet, but we've now got another poet who's been doing his own poetry, and he's just going to do one short poem. We won't be long because the rain is coming and we've got to march, but let's go.
Thank you so much. So it's the first time I'm going to be performing, but I hear. Okay, this is my spoken word. I go by the name of Kilogrammar. This is for Palestine. Okay, so do you not see the brutality? Is it not within your capacity? The stress is putting pressure on my capillaries, and the press puts pressure on minorities. Palestine's experiencing atrocities, thousands dead and endless casualties. It's a bloody calamity. Many children suffering, same with families. It's sickening. This is an astronomical tragedy. How can you or I live happily while military forces breaking laws? There's no humanity. Israeli campaigns invading with cold-blooded infantries. Pro-Israel spokespeople speak with hostility, evading questions casually, lying on TV, talking flippantly about reality. The real misery isn't electricity. It's that the world is not shocked from these killing sprees. Family trees uprooted and scattered. How did you expect them to turn over a new leaf? Blown up into smithereens, humans in their infancy. No ending to these catastrophic scenes. Horrifying images witnessed, hard to unsee. How do you keep your sanity? Their faith is strong, it's us who might need therapy. Using white phosphorus shows Israeli government savagery. Biological warfare with impunity, bombs destroy localities. Homes turned into rubble, carcasses in homes with cavities, hitting schools and ambulances purposely, targeting hospitals with extreme accuracy. And no, this is not a conspiracy. Spitefully, the ministry hits systematically, symptoms of anarchy increasing rapidly. My synonyms are significant definitions I use assiduously. They're pumping propaganda with consistency, humiliating consistently. It might be too late for your sympathy. Concentrate on how they elevate illegal settler communities. But Palestinians in refugee camps going through checkpoints, there's no empathy. Humans stripped of their dignity is killing me. No justice, but the wicked try to justify adding insult to injury. These days we live in infamy. How can you blame a Palestinian for thinking they have it in for me? We need clarity, we need a strategy. Maybe we're not doing enough collecting pennies from countries for charity. Chanting slogans is becoming a classic like Beethoven's symphonies. The screams and cries from this genocide will echo in eternity. Open your eyes, heart and mind. Decide to be on the right side of history. Thank you, guys.
Well done. He's sharing his thoughts. Thank you very, very much. I want to apologise to all the socialist comrades here. We have been clear on this platform that we haven't had political parties speaking because we want people to hear the voice of Palestine. Unfortunately, we had a split about having a talk from the Green Party. The Green Party have its banner here. It's the first time I've seen it. We'll see whether we see it in future. But thank you to all socialists that organise and come. We know the work you're doing throughout Greater Manchester, and we applaud you. We applaud all sections of the community that are fighting for Palestine. We have one more speaker from the Youth Front for Palestine about what action people can be taking, and then John will prepare people for the march. Okay, and keep it, if you're cold, have some tea or coffee or hot water.
Week after week, we've been here every Saturday. I look out now, I see people that I've never met outside of this context, but I come here on a Saturday in whatever conditions, and I know that I'm going to see those same faces, because we care for each other and we care about Palestinian liberation and Palestinian resistance. Our solidarity every Saturday gives me strength, but what is that strength if we do not use it to take action outside of these Saturday demos? Our solidarity is only meaningful if it is acted on throughout our lives, day to day. We know that Israel does not act in isolation. It acts as part of an international imperial system. It is an imperial project, and it is supported by the United Kingdom. It's supported by many countries, but I want to focus on the United Kingdom and how we relate to that. We need to understand our role in this. We have seen as the established political parties across the world and within this country have sat back, paid by our money, and they have sat back and they have enabled the ongoing atrocities and the genocide of Palestinian people. I think about this all the time. What language do we use? Enabling, complicity, none of it feels strong enough. Language cannot be strong enough for what has been going on since the 7th of October and the 75 years before that. How can we describe that in a way that reflects what has been going on a daily basis? Our solidarity at demos needs to lead to action. We draw strength from each other every Saturday, but we employ that for the rest of the week, the day after this, the day after that, and we keep doing this until Palestine is free. What can we do? People have been doing this. Last week I had a conversation with someone who had legitimate frustration. He'd been to the Saturday demo and he's like, we're not doing enough. No, we're not doing enough. But know that people in Manchester have been acting. They have been acting through the weeks. They have been acting time and time again, and they've been acting, and we have been winning. We've been winning. Remind yourselves of this. It's too easy to feel helpless. It's too easy to feel like what we do has no impact, because that is how the political establishment wants us to feel. They want us to feel like we can have no impact on this situation. But why then, when after years of campaigning, Puma announced that they're going to cut contracts with the Israeli FA. Why, when they announced that, did they insist that it has nothing to do with campaigning, that it has nothing to do with sustained action? They do that because people that profit off genocide, people that profit off occupation, are terrified of people like us actually realising that our action has real consequences. These are capitalist powers, and we know how to act and how to affect them. Local people have been doing that consistently. Just this week, there's been multiple actions in this city against private companies that are profiting off Israeli genocide and occupation. On Monday, we went to a new target. BNY Mellon invests over £10 million in weapons factories that supply the Israeli army with the equipment that they need to continue the genocide of Palestinian peoples. Local people went there and raised that issue, highlighted it. Ignorance isn't an excuse. We're highlighting these issues, and we will go back. And we will go back there until we are forced them to do what they have a responsibility to do. They will never act out of a feeling of moral conscience, because we would never be in this situation in the first place if they would. They will act when we consistently boycott their activities, their financial interests. On Thursday, we went after the next target. AXA Insurance are one of the biggest European investors in Israeli apartheid. They have an office in this city. How can we go home after a Saturday demo? How can we go home and feel like our action, our solidarity is done for the week, when we know that these private sector profiteers are sat in our city making money off investing in an apartheid regime? How can we stand for that? We can't. Find out what is happening in your local area. Find out, because people are acting, but we need to be more. It needs to be more frequent. We need more people involved. We need to be boycotting any company or any tie with the Israeli occupation. It's the bare minimum. As an individual, it's one of the most powerful and easy things that you can do to take action. We heard just before me about our socialist comrades. I don't want to get distracted too much, but know that there are local groups in Manchester led by Palestinian people that focus on resistance and they focus on Palestinian liberation. There are certain other groups that use this as an opportunity to co-opt a movement and bolster their own ranks. Be mindful of this. At the end of every demo, the Palestinian groups will hand around sign-up sheets. Sign up, get involved. We will contact you. We will get you on board with this movement for a free Palestine, because it will be free, and it will be free because of the ongoing Palestinian resistance in Palestine. We are a part of that, and we need to act. We resist together until Palestine is free. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Big round of applause there for the last speaker! And a big round of applause for those groups who've worked together to put these 16 weekends of action together on the streets of Manchester. The Greater Manchester Friends of Palestine! Manchester Palestine Action! And the Youth Front for Palestine, whose young people are the future of this movement, and whose young Palestinians who have continued to teach us. And, oh, I'm being pointed at. A big round of applause for Oldham! The Oldham guys who have put all these stands together, all these speakers together, and have come down every week because Oldham was responsible for kicking Israeli arms from Elbit out of Oldham. Elbit is out of Oldham. And now we need to shut down Elbit in Shenstone in the Midlands. And Elbit in the Midlands in Shenstone, we are having a day of action on Tuesday, January the 30th. 10 days time, Tuesday, January the 30th, we have a coach from Manchester to join all the other protesters from the Midlands going down to Shenstone. So if you want a coach ticket, go to our stall just over there on the library steps, get yourself a coach ticket while they're still going, and come and join us so we can shut down Elbit!
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 And we in Manchester have now a proud record of shutting down the landlords of Elbit JLL on Deansgate. Fisher German, the landlords of Shenstone on Deansgate. IO Associates, the recruitment agency for Elbit, they've gone too. They've cut their links with Elbit. And for good measure, Puma has cancelled its contract with Israel Football Association. So we can do these things. Do you want to march around the streets today and do more of this? Because we stand, as was just said, with all the Palestinians around the world. We stand with the Palestinians in Gaza who have been bombed and made to move, and bombed as they moved and then made to move again, and now they're being bombed again. We stand with the Palestinians in Gaza. We stand with the Palestinians in the West Bank. Don't forget the West Bank. Jenin has been bombed by US planes. We have seen worse atrocities in the West Bank than probably ever before, and they're overshadowed because of the trauma of Gaza, but it's happening in the West Bank too. We stand with the Palestinians in the West Bank, and we stand with all the Palestinians around the world, 7 million refugees across the world, Palestinians in this country. Are the Palestinians here today? So let's have the biggest round of applause of all for all the Palestinians who are here today. Free, free! And we also show our solidarity today for the people of Yemen. The people of Yemen, who are probably the most bombed and poverty-stricken and war-torn of all those people, and yet they are the people who are standing up for Palestine. They are the ones that are bombing the Israelis. So, stand with Yemen and stand with Palestine. And in Manchester today, let us march to show the streets of Manchester that we continue to stand with the Palestinians at this time. And let us, as always, be safe. Let us, as always, be sensible as we are marching. Look out for each other. Look out for yourselves. Don't talk to the police or the press or the Zionists. There's one or two of them knocking about with a camera, and don't talk to them or get in their face. If you've got a problem, ask one of the stewards or one of the people at the front, but look out for each other and stay safe on these streets of Manchester as we walk round. Is that okay? We have lots of different... Will you stop interrupting me, for fuck's sake? You've got a good chance of chanting on the march in just a moment, which I'm going to tell you. We're going to be assembling here, and we're going to be walking down Peter Street and turning right onto Deansgate and marching along there. So follow the banner at the front and the loudspeaker, which will be at the front just now. If you can work your way round both sides of this stage, over to there, and then we can start chanting. Do you want to chant? Yes. Give us a chant.
Gaza, Gaza, you will rise. Palestine will never die.
Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! In our